YouTubers, I'm doing this as a little add-on to my Pocket HD camcorder review because in the last sort of week a couple more cameras have come onto the market, and I thought that I would let you guys know about them and sort of share the specs and all that sort of stuff. Because they're not due out until September, I can't actually comment on the quality of the video. Okay, so we've got three cameras that I'm talking about. The first one is the JVC Picsio WP10 and the FM2. Now, as far as specs go, the only difference that I could find is that the WP10 is waterproof and the FM2 isn't. That's why I'm sort of lumping these two together. So, resolutions: 1080p 30 frames per second, 720p 60 frames and 30 frames, and it's got the iframe resolution, which is 960 by 540. The iframe is meant to make it easier to work with the Mac software. It's got 4x digital zoom. I think it's got a stereo mic, but I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. It takes SDHC cards and it takes the new iFi cards. Now these are Wi-Fi enabled memory cards that you put in your camera, and it enables you to transfer your files from the card in the camera straight to the computer as long as you've got Wi-Fi. Stills 5 megapixels. Power is, I think it's got a lithium battery and you charge it via USB. The software is pre-installed into the camera, so whatever computer you use it with, it will try and install it onto that computer like all the other cameras do, and then you can just edit it. I wasn't really able to see the ins and outs of the software because obviously it's a new camera and it hasn't even come out yet, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. Effects: it's got an MP3 recorder, and in the specs, which I've put a link to in the description box, in the specs it says that it records in stereo. So I assume that if the audio recorder records in stereo, that the video recorder would record in stereo. Now whether that's true or not, we're going to have to wait and see, but I've just sort of assumed that it will. If anyone can confirm that, then that'd be groovy. Just stick it in the comments. Thank you very much. The waterproof one is like the Play Sport, down to 10 meters, and it's got time lapse and image stabilization. And according to the JVC website, it can do good low light. It will be interesting to see if it does do good low light, because that has been one of the major issues with quite a lot of cameras, to be honest. It has got HDMI socket on it, and you get the USB plug lead in the box. It's got a 3-inch touchscreen display, and apparently even if you've got big thick gloves on, you can still work the touchscreen quite easily. The normal one is $179 and the waterproof one is $199, and it's due to be released in September. Now, as far as I'm concerned, because of the cameras that I've got, I can't really see that there is anything about these two cameras which would make me want to buy one. If I was in the market for a new one and I hadn't ever got one, then I would be sort of watching it like a hawk, but because I've got the Play Sport and the Sony Bloggy, there isn't anything new about these cameras which would take my interest. Obviously we're going to have to wait and see what the video quality is like, but based on the specs alone, there isn't anything that really catches me, so you know, at the moment it doesn't really interest me that much. But again, like I'm going to say a lot in this video, we'll have to wait and see. So now we come to the next one, which is the Sanyo VPC PD2BK. They're calling this a dual camera because of the digital camera side of it and the Pocket HD camcorder side of it. I think their idea is that you get this instead of having two separate cameras. Okay, so resolutions. It's got 1080p 30 frames, 720p 60 and 30 frames, and VGA. Not VGA! I flipping hate VGA. It's got a wide angle lens and it's got 3x optical zoom, and the digital zoom bumps it up to 12 times. Now, whether you can use the digital zoom in the 1080p, I don't know, and it doesn't actually say. I would assume that you get the 3x optical zoom in the 1080p. I mean, I do with my Sony Bloggy, so I would assume you would with this. But whether you get the digital zoom, I don't know. It's got stereo mics, which are its little ears, and the flash is the quiff, and it's a Cyclops. Here, yes. But yes, the two little ears on the side are the stereo mics. The link that I've got to a video is somebody, while they're doing the review, I think they're actually recording with the Sanyo, so you can sort of watch it and hear the sound, so you can have a look for yourselves. I'll put the link down there. Okay, memory cards. SDXC 64 megabytes and SDHC 32 megabytes. Now, the SDXC cards can go up to 2 terabytes, and they're the new sort of super speedy memory cards which you get if you do a lot of recording. The stills camera is 10 megapixels, but it does interpollinate up to 12. What that means, I've got no idea, but as far as I understand it, is that the sensor is 10 megapixels and they've stretched it up via software to 12 megapixels. If that's incorrect, then please let me know. Somebody out there who knows about this interpollination or whatever, I mean, it sounds like some kind of flower thing to me, then, you know, please explain it, because I don't understand it. So there you go. It's got a lithium battery and you can charge it via USB. The software looked okay, but again, I can't really tell because of it, you know, it hasn't even come out yet. Effects, it's got the quiff, the flash, image stabilization, it's got multi-shot, it's got 14 LUX, and you can actually take a 2 megapixel picture while you're recording, which I think that's quite cool. Now, whether you can use the flash while you record, I don't know. And if you can't, I think that will be a bit of a poor show, to be honest. But if you can, with the 14 NUX, then I think that will pretty much sort out your low light situation. Oh yes. It's got a mini HDMI socket and an AV socket. It's got a 2-inch TFT display on the back. It's $169.99 and it is due out in September. Now, out of all of the cameras that I've reviewed in this video and the previous video, I think, putting the Kodaks to one side, I think that the Sanyo is probably the best one out of the lot. I mean, if you're not interested in waterproof cameras, then I would say that the Sanyo and the Panasonic are probably the top out of all of the new ones that are coming out. But as far as specs go, the Sanyo is probably the top. For me, I am going to stick with getting the Play Touch, because I think, for me, because it's got an external mic, that does look like the best one for me. But again, you know, we're going to have to wait and see, because at the moment there aren't any sample videos out there, so we can't tell if the quality of the videos is going to be better than any of the others. So until people start putting it up on YouTube, we can't really say, or I can't really say. If you are in the market for a new Pocket HD camcorder and you need a bit of advice, then check out my videos and by all means ask me questions and I will try and help you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I shall do some more later on. Okay then, bye bye.